All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Colman Power Organic Fitness Podcast. I have Ryan sipping his quick cup of tea there, or beverage, just before we press record. So, Ryan, we're going to say welcome to the show. And as a little bit of an introduction, we have Ryan Doolin, most certainly from the likes of Dulainn Apparel, in which is one of the t-shirts that I am currently wearing, is one of the things that I'm trying to improve in my own area of health, the clothing that I'm wearing. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, James. Thanks very much for having me, Coleman.
No harm at all. I suppose I'd love to start off and you tell us a little bit about, firstly, where the name of the company came from, kind of firstly, all right? And you selling organic t-shirts now, and it isn't something that's very common, but fill us in a little bit more.
Yeah, look, I suppose my name is Ryan Doolin, and the brand that we have here is Dulainn Apparel. So the name is originated from my own name, but I've also used the Irish spelling of my surname, because I wanted to sort of just touch it back to the Irish roots that I currently have. Anglicized from the English spelling of Doolin, which is Doolin. I really wanted to put the label on, I suppose, the logo in one respect, but also what the meaning is behind that name as well, And it's something that I've always challenged myself on, is becoming a better person each day. And when I looked further into my name, I noticed that the name Doolin in Irish, which people would be familiar with, I suppose, from the lovely town there of Doolin itself, um, that it really means like black would be dove, and then Lynn would be challenge. And it was just a mad coincidence, I suppose, that our first T-shirt was a black T-shirt, and it was built around adversity and ambition and challenges, and the two of them just aligned very well together. So I just thought it was a spotting logo, and people would align to it.
And will to a kind Grega?
Small, not too much now, really, to be honest. That's something I'm working on at the moment.
As a full time employee, dad to probably several children and everything else that's going on in the mix. Well, I run a
Yeah.
couple of fuckle freshen, so Tommy kind Quake and Gotclaw. And I literally say that line the whole time, but that's the idea that I love just saying any little bit. And it's great. When I was asking you ahead of time before we press record, I was like, what's the real meaning behind it? And you were like, oh, I'm trying to connect with. I was like, oh my God, don't say anymore. I have to ask you that when we're chatting here on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. So tell us, how did you get into, I'm going to say, the whole business of making t-shirts, and then why organic? How did you get into the business first?
Yeah, look, to be honest, like I work full time myself as well. And like, this has been the pipeline dream for about 4 to 5 years now, is something that I really wanted to challenge myself on. I've always wanted to develop myself personally, and just grow into a better person. And I feel from probably having kids as well, like we're fortunate to have a boy and a girl. And I suppose that the challenges that children have, that bring into your life as well, and how you try to overcome things and become a better person, I felt it was a really fitting time for me to sort of go after the dream of creating a brand that gave me a good mindset to go around with every single day. And that's when I pushed on. The last 2, 3 years now, I really pushed on and said I can't really wait for the kids to get much older, because I'd be kicking myself in years to come to say I should have started earlier. So I suppose my background is in medical devices. I work for a medical device company, which is really, really a high pressured, intense environment, because it's very, very patient related. Everything's quite urgent. And I love caring for that factor in my life. But the other side of it as well is, before I did any of that and I was with my wife and no kids, I was a really keen traveler that used to like really, really enjoy getting out into the elements, very nature inspired. I love the wellness of being in nature. And I suppose I just worked on myself mentally as well to try become sort of a better version of myself each and every day. And then that's where the brand sort of originated from. I felt that was slipping away from me a little bit when I did have kids, and I wanted to really get back to it. And I felt creating a clothing line that was sustainable and organic, and it really sort of factored into the nature inspired way of how we want to build the brand, the ethics, the ethos behind it all. I felt that it was just a perfect type of situation that the two of them married up with each other, you know. And I have great third party people, to be fair, that work with me. And they work with quality materials, everything that I do myself is, I suppose, is made to order, from production to design as well, which is really sort of supportive into the organic community, into the farming aspect of it, you know, even from the color ranges, like we really, really sort of give everything good quality detail and good quality thought process behind it, because at the end of the day, this is a brand that I want to wear personally. It's something that I obviously have my name on, so I feel very passionate about it as well, to be able to stand over it in that respect.
And where do most of the
Um,
t-shirts that we get on a regular basis come from? Where do they come from? And
it's
that kind of, I wanted to kind of go towards that a little bit.
Yeah, well, look, I suppose in the early days when I was looking into it, I was looking into like print and demand type of situations, and like you can get this fast fashion, you can get this startup brand that's fashion generated. It's not QC'd. There's no regulations there. Like your stock could come from anywhere, really. It could come from Yeah, it could come from China mostly, really. You can get some definitely certified organic sort of companies and wholesalers in around like Bangladesh, Portugal, Spain. You could definitely get them there as well. But I suppose the company that I work with at the moment and where I get them from, their standards are across the board, ticking everything there for me. And in the early days when I was getting t-shirts in from other wholesalers and suppliers, that was mainly they were going to be like print on demand. I wasn't QCing it as well, so I didn't get the chance, Coleman, to really look at those t-shirts coming in, and they were going to bypass me and go straight to the customer. So it's something that didn't really sit well with me. And then when I did get the stock into me, and I felt the condition of it, I looked a little bit more into it, I suppose, the producing side of it, and I just knew that this is something that wasn't going to last me, it wasn't going to last the brand, and I suppose it just didn't sit well with me, really, to be pushing a brand for longevity purposes that they weren't sort of producing things in the longevity scheme of things the way I wanted it to be. So
And what's the difference
there's lots
between,
of brand.
I'm going to say, like the sports t-shirts or the standard t-shirts we have with the synthetic material made of polyester and the cotton material that you most certainly sell as your brand.
What's the
What's
the
the main
difference,
differences?
really?
Tell us a little bit about the differences.
Well, look, I suppose it just really comes down to farming. Do you know, like it's the supporting of the organic farming there, like the water intake, the soil that's being used, the goodness that you can get out of an organic farm over a long period of time to continually produce quality materials is something that I know I'm guaranteed through what I'm getting, especially I suppose from garments that different color ranges. We've got a very nature inspired palette that we use, really, for our color ranges, and I know a lot of the fast fashion industries out there can produce that color over and over and over again, just due to the fast fashion, the way they're getting their cottons, their polyesters, all of this. And then look, it just comes down to the ethics. Me having children, looking at the kids growing up very quickly, they're flying through clothes, and trying to run a business and trying to scale it and trying to build a good community. It wouldn't again sit well with me if I have garments coming through the door here that I know aren't gone through the same sort of ethos that I'm trying to push on the brand. The ethics there, I suppose, but more so it's just the quality. The quality really stands out to me. Like, I'm trying to build a brand here that's built around a sustainable production that's gonna have longevity. And I feel some of these other places where you can get them from Vietnam or you can get them from Cambodia, which we both traveled to, my wife and I've been there and bought North Face jackets for €20 and this and that, and I've seen how they've produced. It's yeah, it's very, very different to sort of compare it to a brand like myself, you know.
Yeah, and I get where you're kind of going there. It's the fact that if anything, such as even food or I'm going to say materials or cotton being the one we're talking about right now, if something
Mm,
is cheap, right, it's the cost of it is paid far, far beyond the likes of the counter, right? It's either the poor individual that's either harvesting or making that product. And on top of that, it's also something that inevitably then the farmer may be losing out, or it's the soil in that particular case. And just
so
to
yeah.
tell people a little bit about in relation to if something is registered organic, there's no use of, I'm going to say, harsh chemicals. Glyphosate is completely forbidden, which is a carcinogenic, most certainly to us. And if we're currently on a constant basis wearing materials that would have, I'm going to say, excessive amount of chemicals in it, that is inevitably coming into our, I'm going to say, system, our body, that has negative effects to our health long term for the most part.
Yeah, and you would know about that so much as well, Coleman. You know, given your current past and I suppose your future of where you're going as well and the education that you give yourself. But you know, there's a lot of science backed there stuff as well, proven on that as well. And I think people are definitely buying into that a lot more, especially now with the fast world that we're living in. There's a lot of people that have reached out to me with the brand and they can see that we stitch our own hem tags. They can see that each of our garments are just made to order, made to design. I don't just sit out there and make all the designs and wait for the orders to come through. Each one is very personal as well, and people are enjoying that type of touch as well. And then on the back of that, then they know that the garments are coming from global organic textile standard approved. There's great certificates. There's great certification across the board from the wholesaler that I'm getting it at, and I think that just gives people reassurance that they're also buying a decent product that's down the line, down the chain, really, really improving and helping everybody sort of well-being and just sort of work structure as well. I'd love to get over and see some of these farms, which I haven't, but it's definitely something I think that will give you extra knowledge and probably extra more passion to talk about as well, in all honesty, you know?
Leave it with me and I'll see can I get in contact with the farmers and we'll organise those farm tour. Don't worry about that.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm going to say, Ryan, with the likes of health, and I'm going to say skin health being very important to a lot of maybe listeners of this podcast in particular. Like, what's
Mm.
the difference, I suppose, in relation to maybe synthetics sitting on the skin as opposed to the breathable organic cotton that's in your t-shirts?
Well, I suppose like for one example, my son, he has certain situations where he's not really too keen on wearing anything like that synthetic type of material in polyester, and he was only 6, but he's been like that from an early age. And I think he's very susceptible to feeling these things early on in his life. And I think even these when I started the brand initially, I had got some of these materials in and I was sort of quality controlling and testing them through himself. And he's like, "Oh, Daddy, that's lovely and soft. Yeah, that's really nice." And even that first up type of situation, he's known it himself. He's very, very funny about any of that type of even jerseys where he's mad into football, but he'll only wear certain jerseys due to the materials of them as well. So I think for me personally, with the brand that I have, no matter what anyone else is doing, it's about it's about comfort against the skin more than anything. Of course, there's definitely going to be the pros and cons to what the material is doing to the skin, but people buy, especially clothing, I feel, with the feel and with the touch, and everything else after that is a fantastic bonus and asset to the brand and to the clothing. And I think that's the first thing that people will say when they do get the materials is, "Oh my God, I feel that." And when they feel something like organic cotton, it's totally different. And you know yourself as well, it's totally different to any other cotton that you get. You know, it washes differently. It's got that longevity factor inside it. There's very little irritation depending on any type of skin that's there, really. And I suppose over time, I love the way organic cotton, like sort of washes over time. You know, some people will have t-shirts. I have lots of t-shirts from Australia and they were organic cotton, and this is 10 years ago now and I still have them, and they're washing great. They have that lovely sort of ragged type of look, but it's a real organic type of feel. It's a great vibe that still goes around. People enjoy wearing them, you know, and it's like a fine wine. It just seems to age really
Everybody.
well on the skin.
Is
You
there any,
know?
like I'm not the biggest I don't know what the even word is for it, DIY for washing, but
Hmm.
is there any particular temperatures that they should be washed at,
Well,
or yeah, go on, fill me in.
definitely not on a warm wash anyway. You
Right.
know, definitely not on a warm wash. So, 30 degrees really, I think is where you want to be washing it really. And just not real long type of washes. Like personally, even in the house here, we have a 24-minute wash or something, and that's perfect. You know, I think if you have it in there with lots of other synthetics and polyesters and stuff as well, it's probably not great for the cotton in itself, but I wouldn't really be putting them on for long washes, Coleman, to be honest with you, you know.
Good. The question that I hadn't actually thought in asking you, but is there any particular, I'm going to say, washing detergent that you would actually recommend yourself for washing with the likes of your t-shirts?
Yeah. I've never really thought, like, the thing is, we in the household here we use non-bio. We use non-bio just for the children, you know. Just again, I suppose with the irritations that they might get on their own skin, and my son there, like I said, at times. So we usually use a non-bio with like a non-fragrant comfort as well. So just, you know, just to have it a bit softened as well, material. But yeah, that's all I would wash at home here with really at the moment. I've never advised otherwise, you know.
Yeah.
But again, people could wash out with a basin if they wanted, and soap, and sure, look, it'll be all good, you know.
Yeah, I totally hear you on that one. I suppose it's just another factor to maybe a point to mention. It's the skin being the
Mm.
largest organ in the body, and what literally everything you must really eat affects your skin, as well as the clothes that sit on it. And as you mentioned, it is a majorly soft, and I can literally credit to that. As soon as I literally touched it with my hand, and I did suffer with, I'm going to say, eczema, and do a lot of, I'm going to say, sports activities.
Yeah.
It might be something that I would lean into. Is something such as, I'm going to say, shorts and or other different wearables something that you would lean towards in the likes of maybe the future?
Yeah, I think so. Like at the moment, we're definitely just sort of leaning into the lifestyle wear, you know, not really, I suppose, athletic wear. But it's definitely something I'd like to get exposed into. Again, breathability though, I'd have to really sort of QC that and ensure that that's going to be okay, because I feel even on the hikes that I've gone on or walks, like I feel breathability, it's really, really good. You don't be sweating as much. Obviously, each person's different in themselves,
Mm.
but I feel other type of cottons or other polyesters that I previously wore, I would definitely sweat a lot. And my brother actually, who lives in Germany, he does quite a lot of hiking himself. He's a bit of a sweaty lad now. He won't mind me saying this, to be fair,
Love it.
but he even said it to myself. He says, "Jesus, Ryan, like I don't need as much Mitchum when I'm out doing hikes and stuff, you know." So
We'll have to
so
give a
that
shout out, Ryan, to your brother. What's most certainly his name?
Rory, Rory,
Rory.
Rory, Rory's his name. Yeah, so he won't mind me saying that anyway. But no, like that's something I would look into, Coleman. But I suppose I'd need to really see if it's going to align as well. You know, I've had a lot of companies, and I'm very, very grateful, um, like get in contact with me about or like sort of the high rock situation. I do a bit of high rocks training myself and in and out of the gym. And again, the brand was sort of designed for adventure, outdoor nature inspired type of enthusiasts. People again that I suppose are just sort of ambitious and love being out in the elements, you know. And I didn't go down that road of trying to get into the athletic side of things, but it's definitely something like when you're in the organic world, you know yourself, like you can really, if you want to
Going.
keep the whole brand in around that situation, like you have unlimited amount of opportunity there really to create a great label or a great brand and quality product, I think, So definitely something to consider over time, I think.
Was it something that you were always into? I'm going to say, Ryan, was fashion and clothes and I suppose that type of thing. Was that something you were into even as a younger man?
Yeah, I think so. In my early 20s now, I like to sort of style it up a little bit. And I think when I moved to Australia, like I moved to Australia when I was when I was 19. I was meant to go to Waterford to study civil engineering after school, and then said,
Yeah.
look, I'll take a year, and I ended up taking 6 years. So I took 6 years away and found a great lifestyle over there, and loved being there. And I just met so many different people and different communities and just different styles. And then when I came back, I was like, this is where my head's at. And I remember then at that time, I was thinking, yeah, I can see myself creating a brand, but I wanted to be a brand that's purpose driven. You know, um, I wanted to be that carried a bit of meaning to it as well. But again, in life, for me personally, I need to be involved in it. I need to be invested in it. And like this brand, I suppose, came from where my own headspace was over time. Again, like I get back to the conversation with having kids, I felt I was lacking a lot of that um sort of travel, adventure, outdoorness. And then I said, I have to do it. And it just came with it. I remember driving to work one day and I I said to myself, like, I'm gonna have to rise and just sort of do this. And I says, like, I'm just gonna have an expectation on myself, and I just have to sort of rise and 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 get on with it, because if I don't, I'll be kicking myself in 10, 15 years and think that why didn't I push the button on this? And then that's where the slogan came from as well, which is rise with expectation. And it just clicked with me, and I couldn't get it out of my head. I was like, that was my own sort of personal motto then that I led into the brand.
Love it. I'm going to say, for someone that hasn't ever come across you, or maybe I'm going to say felt organic cotton before, what could you or would you describe your t-shirts to those individuals?
Look, I suppose it's not for everybody. Like some people like minimalistic designs, some people like tight fitted t-shirts. Some people like sort of right now, yourself, there's a lot of oversized t-shirts at the moment. Air t-shirts and air hoodies are all tailored regular fits. So um they're suitable for anybody. They're all unisex, of course. The color palettes that we use, like I said, are all really, really sort of nature inspired color palettes that we use as well there. Our organics, I suppose, are probably the softest that I felt. I'm not being as biased now, but the softest I felt across the organic sort of branding that I've seen. And I suppose it's the personal touch that we put in there, each of our designs. If people aren't into our back designs that we have on our t-shirts, which are all nature inspired with meanings in behind them. We had a two collection drops so far. Our first collection was called the Foundation Collection, and in amongst that we had a t-shirt called Pathfinder, which was really, really sort of personal. It was a finding your own map, finding your own road in life. Very, very personal, related story. The next we had was Dawnbreaker, which was someone that again gets up, cracks the morning early, gets on, knows where they're going, makes the most of each day. And then our third was Summit Reflection. And Summit Reflection is again, it's a real personal reflection on yourself and where you see yourself currently and where you want to get to as well. So that was our first collection drop, which was the Foundation Collection, and we did that across our four colors. So each of those designs could have been on our four colors, which was our black, our navy, our moss green, and our mineral grey. And again, look, we had a great response to that. That was our first launch, our first drop. And then recently, then we did our second collection, which was the Becoming collection. And these are just limited t-shirts. That one that you're wearing there, which is really nice on you, which is our driftwood color. And
Our model
yeah, our
understand, yeah.
driftwood. Oh, absolutely. I'm delighted. I'm delighted it fit you well. Anyway,
Like a
but
glove.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's sort of that's where we're ticking along with the brand, Coleman. It's we want to hear from the community. We want to get people involved and tell us what they like as well. Again, we don't class ourselves as being professionals. We're very new into business here, but we really want to build a community that's inspired by the brand, inspired to do better within themselves. Like everything's personal here to themselves. Your expectations, your ambitions, your goals are all individual to you, and vice versa for me. And that's where the brand stands. I
Yeah,
really
Ryan,
want it.
where did the logo
Mm.
come from? I just even maybe further describe that for people who are listening to this on the podcast. I know some people might watch on YouTube and see it as
Yeah,
well, but
so
describe
again,
that.
the logo. No, thanks, Coleman. Yeah, the logo, I suppose, is something that really stood out to me early doors. I had a cousin of mine who was a graphic designer, and he really helped me get into it. I told him the vision of the brand. I told him what the brand stood for, and we worked together on that logo. And again, it's sun rising, and it's a new day. Um, there's sort of like a design in there, which sort of some people would say it's waves, or some people would say it's mountains, whichever way you want to interpret yourself. But the main thing is the sun is rising and you're rising, and I suppose the star that's over that's in the logo as well is is your own ambition, your own goals that you have in life, and it's about you getting after it, not about anybody else. It's just about you and you looking after yourself and doing the best that you can. So the logo, we've got great compliments on it, to be fair. Um the again, there's some serious consideration that we had to put in just to the color zone of the logo, because I didn't really want to chop and change the logo color wise, Coleman, because if you think about it, each of those t-shirts that we've brought out, they've all been considered against the logo more than anything. And sometimes you could get a t-shirt color which is really nice, that fits the brand setting, but might not necessarily fit the logo and still stand out correctly for people, and that just has to be sort of considered. So that's something that I try to make sure that the aesthetic look of the t-shirt along with the meaning really resonates, I suppose, with people.
Yeah, and is each one of the t-shirts that you have available have something on the back, such as, let me describe this, or are they all unique? You tell me. So Rise with Expectation, Dulainn Apparel,
Yeah.
and that's more of a detailed, I'm going to say, section of what we'll see on the front logo. Am I right in saying, or
Yeah.
do you tell me more?
Yeah, that's it. So that t-shirt there is from our Becoming drop. So that's the driftwood color, and that back design is called True Light. Oh, sorry, First Light. Sorry, True Ascent is the other one. First Light, and that's only on our driftwood color. Whereas our first collection that we had was across all colors. So that one there, again, yeah, it's only going to be on the driftwood color. But I know that people would only sometimes. I have great mates of mine who supported me from the early days with this brand, and they're very minimalistic people, and they're not really into the back designs at all. And they'd say, "Look, Ryan, no offense, but we're not really mad for wearing stuff on the back of the t-shirt." And I was like, "That's fair enough." So each of our tees can be got just with the logo, or they can be got with the back designs if they're vibing with those.
Yeah. No, I like a back
Yeah.
design. I like a back design. Do you know what I mean? Something on the front, something on the back for the most part. But that's everyone, again, each their own. Pick and choose the t-shirts or the clothes that you wear in itself.
Yeah. Absolutely, and that's it. I suppose it's mad. I remember when we were delighted to give you out some stuff there, and I remember saying that to my wife, I said, "I wonder what colors would look good on Coleman now." And I would like, and that's the situation. Like you just sort of you're trying to think about that with colors in general. I think Ireland in general. I know a lot. I hang around with a lot of people. Everyone seems to be in black all the time. There's a big sort of community of people in black. Even if you go to the gym, everyone's in black, which is fair enough. But I think for the brand that we are and for outdoor in the elements, that's why we have that color palette, really. It's really organic. It's really natural to the land, to the seasons, everything. So trying to really tie all of that in, I suppose, to make it a real sort of whole brand that really just aligns perfectly with each other. That's the goal. And of course, Jesus, we don't get it right all the time. And we're only very fresh and new in business, but that is the goal. That's the objective, is to really have a standout brand that ties in with all of the elements, really.
Yeah, but I'm going to just give you the pat on the back that you're nearly afraid to give yourself. You're doing great. You have I'm going to say, a lovely product that is something that's different with organic cotton, with, I'm going to say, your own story and uniqueness to it, with a lovely logo,
Mm.
and they're going to say images on the back of t-shirts if people choose to do so and have those. And that's
Yeah.
what you're doing. And you don't have to literally, I'm going to say, what, have everybody most certainly buying or purchasing, but you most certainly, anyone who would and does want, I'm going to say, high quality clothes, just like high quality foods that some people do want and
Mm.
do consume on a regular basis. That's who your target market is.
Yeah, absolutely, Colm. You're dead right. And I'm only learning this over time that really, in business, you can't please everybody. You know yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, I've done a few business courses up to date, and I've really tried to self-educate and, get my personal development going when it comes to business. And you really just need to know your audience, and you need to serve your audience and look after them. And that's what we're trying to build here more than anything. And I think over time, I was a bit naive in the early days of trying to, I suppose, like trying to do something for everybody, you know, and it just doesn't work that way. And you just really need to really hone into your market, to your audience, to your community, what you value, what you feel they value, and just kick on from there. And I only feel this year I'm just getting a glimpse of that. And I really hope that it brings a lot more, because it will just give me more sort of ammunition to keep going and to also thrive and strive for much better. And yeah, it's really exciting. It is very exciting, to be fair.
Well, Ryan, you're totally on the right track. Is there anything that you want, I'm going to say, touch on before I'm going to say, I know I'm super conscious of your own time, that we haven't mentioned in relation to either the t-shirts or the branding or the logoing and where you want to go with the company that we haven't just mentioned just yet?
No, look, I suppose I just thanks very much for having me. I really, really appreciate it. It's great to be able to speak to yourself like this. As I said before we went live there, it's I love people that carry great energy. I really, really do. And I got introduced to you, like I said, from a good friend, a neighbor of mine, John. And
I mean,
it's
shout out,
amazing how
John.
great people. Yeah, John's getting a good shout out tonight. But it's well deserved, and he's a great man. And to be fair, good people meet good people, and I'm just so fortunate to have met yourself, and through yourself, I seem to be building on a community who are very like-minded people, and like we had spoke about before, I really want the community to keep building that way, and that's all I can wish for in the future. We definitely have more colors and more designs coming out very, very soon. We have a new hoodie that's going to drop soon as well, different color. We have an indigo hoodie and a black hoodie. We're now going to drop I'm thinking maybe a subtle type of driftwood color hoodie as well, which would be nice, with an embroidery, and maybe another tea color as well before the summer's out. So just looking forward to those bits, and I'm just trying to juggle everything, Colvin. You know yourself, my wife is very, very supportive. I would be lost without herself, and also my kids. And it's amazing. Like you until you're in this space, you don't really understand how much help you do need. And I think if you try to do it all on your own, you can sort of crumble a little bit. It gets a little bit overwhelming. You need to look at it from a different perspective and take the support when it's there, and don't think that you know everything as well, because you certainly don't.
Yeah, Ryan, you're totally on the right track, and I'm looking forward to. We'll enjoy the t-shirt and the summer weather, that whatever summer we kind of do get at this moment in time. But we're looking forward to the, I'm going to say, new different colors and variations on the hoodies, but indigo being one of those colors. I could be coaxed into an indigo. But leave it with me. But Ryan, before I leave you go, what's the best and where's the best place for people to reach out to yourself in relation to, I'm going to say, looking at the different t-shirts and the range that you have available? Maybe mention your social media or your website here now.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Colman. So yeah, on Instagram there, so at dulainapparel.com. You can get me on Instagram there, and the same, just www.dulainapparel.com. And you'll be able to get our full array of clothes there, are about us, why we set up the brand, about myself. And yeah, look, we just appreciate anybody jumping on, having a look. But I hope the brand vibes with a bit of people that's listening to today, you know.
Yeah, no doubt they most certainly will. Right, Ryan, I always end these podcasts by saying stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic, and get on that good stuff.